Okay, this one is a little bit different for me because I am not watching Mike Mentzer as someone who has just discovered heavy duty training on YouTube. I actually trained like this. I was probably in my mid late 20s. I had been training since I was around 15, 16, and I was already working as a personal trainer. And I had read two of Mike Mentzer's books. And the truth is, the system made sense to me. Train extremely hard, take the muscle to failure, give the body time to recover, then come back and try to progress. Simple. So I decided to test it. And I trained using a heavy duty system style for about a year or so. So today I want to watch Mike Mentzer training Boyer Coe in 1983. But I also want to tell you what this type of training actually feels like when you do it. Because trust me, one set to failure sounds very simple until you actually have to do the set. Let's watch it.
Last workout you got 12. I know you're going to get 15 today.
That's it.
I counted 15.
Yeah.
Maybe a slight, not a tag, but
Just a half day.
That was one set to failure. That's it. And let's stop here for a second. Because this is the first thing people misunderstand about this type of training. You hear one set, that's easy. No, it is not easy. Because when you know you only have one working set, that set becomes a responsibility. You don't have another three sets to fix it. You don't have another set to say, okay, I wasn't feeling that one, I will go heavier on the next one. No, this is your set. And I remember that feeling very well. The version of heavy duty I was following at the time was not exactly this workout. I was using more of the pre exhaustion system. So, for example, I would do flies immediately followed by a chest press, leg extensions immediately followed by leg press. The idea was to exhaust the main muscle and then take the compound movement as far as possible. And everything was basically built around one real working set. I did warm up, of course, but the working set, that was it. And psychologically, knowing that you only have one chance changes the entire workout. Because if you waste the set, you have wasted the exercise. Let's continue. I have to talk about the machines here because Mentzer and Nautilus are almost impossible to separate when you watch footage like this. I am going to be honest. I use machines. I think machines are good, but personally, I have always preferred free weights, cables, and body weight. That's just me. However, for this particular type of training, I completely understand the machines. Because when the entire objective of the set is to push the muscle as far as you possibly can, stability becomes very useful. You don't want the exercise to finish because you lost your balance or because you have to think about 10 different things at the same time. You want to attack the muscle, and a good machine allows you to do that. Now, would I personally do an entire program only using machines? Probably not, because I enjoy free weights. I enjoy cables, and I also enjoy free weight exercises or body weight exercises. And after all these years, the psychological side of the training is very important for me. I need to enjoy my training. But I understand exactly why this equipment fits this system. And something else, when I trained this way, I did gain muscle. I remember that clearly. I got stronger, my repetitions increased, I felt fuller, and I remember my whole body responding quite well. Unfortunately, I don't have any training records anymore. This was many, many years ago. Moving houses, moving countries, life. All that stuff disappeared. But at the time, I recorded everything: the weight, the repetitions, the performance. And this is actually one of the things I think Mentzer was absolutely right about. You need to know if you are progressing. We'll come back to that. Let's continue.
Pop it up. Get it. Come on. Great. I got
That's it.
it. Increase. 8 good ones.
Yeah, okay. This this is the part that is very difficult to explain to somebody who has never trained this way. Everybody says they train to failure. Everybody. You go into any gym and ask someone, "Do you train to failure?" "Yeah, bro, of course." But real failure is different. And I am going to be honest here. When I was doing heavy duty, did I reach absolute muscular failure on every exercise, every workout? No, I don't think so. And I was already an experienced trainer because doing this again and again is absolutely brutal. Physically, yes, but mentally as well. There were definitely many sets where I know I reached failure. Another repetition was simply not happening. But to reproduce that level of effort every single time you go to the gym is extremely demanding. And I think this is where people have to be careful when they copy this type of training, especially from a 30-second video on social media. You are watching Boyer Coe here. Look at him. This is an extremely strong, extremely experienced, conditioned bodybuilder. And even watching the technique, everything is not always absolutely perfect. But this man has been training for years. His body is conditioned for this. Now, take a normal person, give him a heavy weight, tell him he has one set, and then scream at him to continue until absolute failure. You can see the problem. I never used a training partner when I did this type of training. I trained alone. And perhaps because of that, sometimes I stopped at the point where I genuinely believed I had nothing left. Could somebody have forced another repetition out of me? Maybe. Probably sometimes, yes. But this is my point. Real failure is not comfortable. It is not simply when the muscle starts burning. And mentally, doing this workout after workout, it becomes very, very demanding. Let's continue.
We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. I'm the only one working out. So all I gotta do is 4 then, and that's an improvement.
Sure. Quite an improvement, really. Give it all you got, as you always do. One more good. Good. Did you get 6 minutes?
I got 6, yeah.
It's double. That's great. You must have been imbued with the spirit of the Master Blaster today or something.
There. This, for me, is one of the most intelligent parts of the entire system. And nobody talks about it enough. Everybody talks about failure, one set, heavy duty, Mike Mentzer intensity. But look at what they are actually doing. They are recording performance. How many repetitions did you do last time? What weight did you use? What did you do today? Did you improve? That is training. And I still believe in this today. I do it with my clients. I use an app now because we are in 2026 and I don't need to walk around with a notebook like I did 25 years ago. But the principle is exactly the same. If I change everything, every workout, how do I know that you are improving? Today, you do one chest exercise, next week, another one, then another technique, then some Instagram exercise because it looks cool. How do I measure anything? When I did heavy duty, I recorded the weights and the repetitions. And I remember seeing the numbers improve. My strength increase, my repetitions increase, and yes, eventually the progress slowed down. Of course it did. The body adapts. The new stimulus is not new forever. But when I first started training this way, I noticed a change. And this is probably the biggest lesson I kept from Mentzer: intensity, recovery, progression. Those three things make sense to me. You stimulate the body, you recover, and then you need some objective way to seeing if the body adapted. Very simple. Now, there is one part of where Mentzer eventually took this philosophy that I don't completely agree with. We'll talk about that at the end.
All right, that was a great workout all the way across. I think the only exercise you didn't go up on was the rowing machine. Or no, you did go up on that. There was one.
Chest and
Chest. Other than that, was great.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Thanks.
See you next year.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mike is basically looking at the workout and saying Boyer is up on everything. And on the leg curl, he has doubled his repetitions. That is a successful workout, at least according to the numbers. So, after watching this again, would I train heavy duty again? Yes, 100%. I would. I actually think it would be interesting for me to try again now, many years later, and see how my body responds. Because when I did this, I was in my 20s. My recovery was very good. I was training 2 days per week, normally 4 or 5 exercises in a workout, and I recovered well. Yes, I got sore. The workouts were mentally exhausting while I was doing them. Very, very demanding. But I wasn't destroyed 4 days later. I was young, and that obviously matters. Why did I stop? Honestly, not because the system didn't work, I didn't get injured, I didn't hate the results, I didn't suddenly decide Mike Mentzer was wrong. I stopped because this is what I have done my entire career. I test things, training systems, nutrition ideas, different techniques, so that I can apply them later in my work. If something interests me and the logic makes sense, I normally try it. I think after heavy duty, I move into something else, possibly blood flow restriction or something like that. And my attention went there. That's me. But there is one thing about Mentzer's philosophy that I personally struggle with, and that is where the training frequency eventually becomes extremely low. Training with very long gaps between workouts, for me, I don't like it. And not only because of muscle. This is where I think bodybuilding and training are not always the same thing. If your only objective is maximum muscular growth, maybe you look at training purely as a stimulus. Do the training minimum necessary, recover, grow, come back. Fine. I understand the logic. But I don't train only for muscle. I train because training makes me feel good psychologically, mentally. I like going to the gym, going to the park. I like doing workouts in my own home gym many times also. I have been doing this since I was 16 years old. Weight training has never been boring for me. I have always enjoyed it really. So the idea of training and then waiting a very long time before I train again, when I think about it, I don't like it. My body likes training. my mind likes training. And I think a lot of normal people are the same. People don't only go to the gym to create a hypertrophy stimulus. Sometimes the gym is the best hour of their day. So for me, this is where the theory can become a little too rigid. And I also think that sometimes a second working set can be useful. Not because I think you need 20 sets, you definitely don't. But sometimes that first set is almost psychological. You are finding the movement, you are feeling the weight, and then the second set. That's the set. But having said that, when I look at Mentzer now, after more than 25 years working in fitness and almost my entire life training, I agree with far more than I disagree with. Intensity matters, recovery matters, progression matters, and a lot of people are probably doing far more training than they actually need because they are not putting enough into the work that matters. Mike Mentzer understood that. Was his system perfect? I don't think any training system is perfect. And I don't think that the same system is perfect for every person forever. But did a heavy duty work for me? Yes. I gained muscle, I got stronger, my repetitions increased, and I trained this way for approximately 1 year, possibly more. So when people dismiss Mike Mentzer as just the crazy one set guy, I think they are missing the point. The one set was only part of the philosophy. The real philosophy was simple: train with purpose, record what you do, recover, and come back better. And honestly, for 40 years later, yeah, about 40 years later, a lot of people in gyms could probably still learn something from that. This is Mike Mentzer, a heavy duty decoded. I will see you in the next one.